What's up, everybody? My name is Shannon and I am still waiting for my Satyr, and today we are talking about the third book in the Sidekick Squad series, Not Your Backup by C.B. Lee. This was the entire reason that I decided to read this series. A friend of mine recommended this particular book to me because it deals with asexuality, aromanticism, and discovering what a queer platonic relationship is, which is something that I've kind of been reading a lot more about as well. So I was really excited about that. I decided to read the entire series, so like I knew it was all building to this, and I am wondering if my expectations were a little bit too high for it. With that being said though, I still really loved this book. I'm still really enjoying this series. Not Your Backup this time around focuses in on Emma, and I've always really liked Emma reading this series. I mean, I've been paying more attention to her because I knew that she was going to be the asexual character, but I really like her personality. She's very bubbly and smart, and she wants to, you know, reinvent the space program and go to Mars, which like as a kid, like that's something that I wanted to do as well. So I've really seen myself a lot in Emma, and I was really happy to see the story through her eyes. And what we're seeing is, as the only member of the Sidekick Squad who doesn't have powers, that's really starting to weigh on her. Like, she is mastermind, she does come up with all the plans, and she is very much involved in everything that they do, but when it comes to the actual resistance and working with the adults, they don't really seem to put a lot of value in her because she doesn't have those powers, and that does lead to her feeling very left out, very underappreciated, and I liked where that took her throughout this book. Largely, I think my problem with Not Your Backup is the pacing's a little bit off. Like, we have some really good moments in it. There's some really good parts with her kind of wondering about her sexuality and her kind of discovering that. I loved all the conversations with that. And then there was also some really good moments of her trying to figure out, like, if I could have powers, would I want them? Like, do I feel like I belong here? Like, that kind of thing. Like, that was all really great. But when it came to the actual plot and the way that, like, okay, so now we're here, but then we're gonna take them there, and then they're gonna go and do this thing, and then they're gonna go and do that thing, it just felt very strange, like the way things were ordered and like the way we were doing things. A lot of time was passing as well, which felt a little bit strange. And I think part of that is because the next book in the series is probably gonna fill those blanks in, like we saw with Not Your Villain. I wasn't a huge fan of that in Not Your Villain, but there are a lot of blanks to be filled, and I would be interested in seeing how that's gonna go. So when it comes to like the actual like plot in this book, I feel like not a ton happens. We do get some pretty big revelations at the end, and I'm excited to see how that's all gonna shape up once we get to the fourth book, but it did take a lot of time to get there, I felt like. When it comes to the asexuality in this book, I really loved that C.B. Lee is highlighting how complicated everything is. Like, there are a lot of ins and outs. There's a lot of like things on the spectrum when it comes to asexuality, being aromantic. Like, those are not the same thing. You can be one without the other. You can fall anywhere on this spectrum, and it's a big thing to kind of delve into, and I feel like C.B. Lee did a really good job of showing that with Emma. She gets to talk to another character who has already gone through that and who can kind of explain things a little bit better. Luckily for her, Bells is very understanding, and I did like her relationship with Bells. I liked how they kind of worked things out, how they spoke with each other. Their communication was really, really great. I would say the only thing that bothered me was that the way it was set up in Not Your Villain, it seems kind of like you get to like have your cake and eat it too. Like, Bells was really wanting that romantic relationship with Emma, and he does kind of get it. And then in this book, you realize that Emma is dealing with a lot of things about how like society has placed a lot of expectations on her, and like how she's supposed to be and how she's supposed to act, and she's not quite sure if she wants that. I liked unpacking that though, and I really like the way Bells is there for her and the way Bells is completely understanding in like what she's going through. I did want to talk about that a little bit with the expectations. There's a lot of quotes that Emma like says in this book or thinks about in this book about how she thinks she's supposed to act and like the things she's supposed to want. And those are the things that really strike me as like, yes, you are definitely on somewhere like that ace spectrum when you're constantly wondering like what other people think you should be wanting, even though maybe that's not what you want. And Emma's somebody who is very flirtatious and she had a lot of boyfriends, but she never really like wanted them the way that they wanted her. She always felt like she couldn't give them or be exactly what they were wanting, and I definitely identify with those feelings, and I really like that C.B. Lee has given us this character. She was very nuanced, and I'm really excited to see more of her as we move into the next book. So overall, I am giving this book a B+. Mostly that's just because I feel like the plot and the pacing like really took a hit here. I'm not quite sure why that is. is. I think maybe it could be setting up some stuff for the other book, but when it came to Emma and like what she was going through, that stuff was really, really great. I really appreciate C.B. Lee for all of the inclusiveness that she's given us so far, and I'm excited to see where that's going to shape up once we get Not Your Hero. So like I said, I'm giving this book a B+, and if you haven't been reading the series, really recommend checking it out. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit the like button down below, and don't forget to subscribe so you can talk books with me every week. That is everything I got for today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!